The buzz is building. Top 5 matchup coming up right here in the Horseshoe. Welcome to Ohio Stadium for the Pregame Keys. Bill Landis is here. That's Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. I bet you're going to hear a lot about the offensive line, but before we get to that, obviously Seth McLaughlin included on the injury report, but we already knew that was going to happen. So I think the key developments for the Buckeyes, is not listed on that, which is Mitchell Melton and Will Kazmarek, both available for Ohio State as they get ready to host number 5 and unbeaten Indiana. It still doesn't have a natural ring to it, but here we go.
It is weird. Now that we're here, it's like, oh, here comes Indiana. It's a top 5 game. I don't know. I thought the energy walking in here was pretty good. Feels like maybe the folks are ready for a top 5 game. I was walking in early, and Desmond Howard was screaming. I don't know how people watch that stuff. He was screaming about like Army football and Kurt Signetti. It was really annoying. But besides that, the energy was great.
Well, that actually was bringing some cheap heat because on the game day set, there were a ton of people already out there at 8 o'clock and making noise, and you're seeing that all around the stadium. I do think this is going to be a great atmosphere. And Berm, I never feel like it's a bad one for the top 5 games. I know people get tired of new, and we don't need to belabor that point anymore, but it feels like people are ready for this one.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's a major traffic accident on 315 heading into the stadium, so it is maybe a little less juicy than I would have thought at this point, but all Ryan Day asked for was people to bring the noise when they were here. He didn't say learn how to drive, and he probably should have asked for that. But yeah, it's weird to say unbeaten top 5 Indiana, but it's also good because today's the last day we're going to say it. So it's nice to just get that out of the way. Google me.
This vibe check from Berm, it's unusual. Why are you so confident?
I don't, unless Ohio State plays a C- game today and Indiana plays an A+ game, I don't think Indiana can beat them.
Earlier in the week you said B-. You're dropping it down?
I am, because I really just think talent-wise it's really not close. Yes, Indiana, like when you look around the league, right? So we go to like Oregon and you're like, okay, so the top 12 players, probably top 15 players match up, right? Michigan, you're like, all right, so the top 8. I can't go through the Indiana roster and find a player that would start at Ohio State.
Somebody asked that on subtext, and I actually didn't respond to it.
Maybe Carter Smith now?
But that was the only one I thought of. I was like, perhaps Carter Smith. And I'm not even saying it to say that Indiana's not good. Indiana has really good players. I just don't. I don't know.
They don't have Ohio State.
It's a really good football team, and I don't mean to be dismissive of them. When you look at, and I guess I'm in the talent business, right? You look at the roster 1 to 85, and there's no comparison. So if Ohio State doesn't shoot itself in the foot over and over today, I don't see how they can lose this game, barring Indiana playing like the best game of football anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, I mean they're really well coached, so maybe they'll play the best game they possibly can. And
so that's key number 1 for me.
Yeah.
There's 3 key metrics, and I'm going to throw 3 keys into this 1 key. Okay, win the turnover battle, win the explosive plays battle, and win the sack battle, and you win this game.
Win the sack battle. Those are explosive plays, bro.
Yeah.
Those are really 2 things.
Okay, fine. 2 things. But win explosives, and don't turn the ball over, and Ohio State wins this game by 2 scores or more.
Bill, I wonder if you will balance this out, because you've said all week long, and you just mentioned it, they're a very well-coached Indiana team. I don't think anyone can dispute that fact. And they've handled the opponent in front of them 10 times without a loss. Yeah. Those things count. It's still just not the same level of competition that Ohio State has faced, and Indiana has not seen anything like this.
No, and it's a consistent theme with Ryan Day's tenure is that he hasn't yet lost to a team that I think Ohio State is this much more talented than, right? Usually those are the talent-equated games, and I don't really consider this one. Indiana's very good, and I think has earned its ranking, but talent is talent. Like, this guy's a talent evaluator. He knows what it looks like.
That's right.
But they don't make a ton of mistakes. They had one game earlier this year, Indiana did, where they turned the ball over 4 times against Maryland, and then Indiana's defense stood up all 4 times and didn't allow any points. So, like, it even when it does make mistakes, it has a knack for kind of picking up the other side of the ball. So I'm not envisioning Indiana coming in here and just like kind of fumbling over itself and being overwhelmed by the situation. I think Ohio State's talent will have to shine through, and if it does, it'll win.
I think, with all due respect to Mitchell Melton, of the injury updates on the positive direction for Ohio State, getting Will Kazmarek back would be we'll see when warm-ups begin if there's any kind of limitation, if Ohio State has to scale back the snaps or whatever. But if he is full go, that's a big-time pickup for Ohio State right now.
Yeah, you need it. I still don't know what kind of game we're going to see from Ohio State, if they're going to try to be explosive via the air and throw it around or try to establish a level of physicality. Obviously, if it's the latter, then I think Will Kazmarek would play a huge role in that. If he can play, then the other tight ends need to step up too. But it would be a heck of a thing to get him back at a time where the offensive line yet again is in a little bit of flux. And obviously, he's helping the tackles. He's not necessarily helping the guard. But if you trust Will there, then you can like slide maybe a little bit and help Austin Sareveld or try to help Carson Hinsman if you feel like he needs it. So it would be a huge addition, obviously.
What do you think?
I think Will Kazmarek was proving himself as a receiver in the previous couple games before he got hurt too. So I mean,
including when he got hurt,
right? It helps Will Howard because one thing, like we've seen him try to get over the ball over the middle a little bit more recently to Jelani Thurman, to G. Scott. Both of those two were at times a little inconsistent with the catch point. Will Kazmarek is a big, strong kid. This is, I think that what you get from him is what you're saying though. It's toughness, and in a game that Indiana, they're going to try and play grimy football today. It's going to be kind of dirty, like, we're going to try to get Ohio State rattled type of ball, I think. Yeah. And you got to have a guy like Will Kazmarek who can play at that level and maintain his composure. And I think he's, coming from the MAC, Curtis Rourke's former teammate at Ohio, I think he's a guy that will have that mentality. So that's kind of what I expect from Indiana, though, to try to get like Ohio State
get
rattled.
Their head a little bit. Yeah, I think so.
Maybe it'll help Ohio State that Northwestern just tried some of those same tricks and, succeeded in one of them, to be honest, getting no penalty called while you're putting the Kurt Angle ankle lock on.
Did you see the other shot of that guy too, throwing JJ into the wall?
Yeah, Byrne mentioned that. He saw that. He was like, the same guy multiple times in that game. So that's the other thing during pregame, be watching. Like Jeremiah Smith is obviously going to play. He's not listed on the availability report, but when he walked off the practice field on Wednesday night, Bill, we saw him limping. He had his heavily spatted, taped up ankle. What percent is he at today? I don't know. Does it make any difference? We're already expecting Emeka to play a bigger role in this offense for Ohio State today. I mean, yes, if you don't have a healthy Jeremiah Smith, the ceiling is not the same.
No, I mean, I'll have eyeballs on him, obviously, pregame. I think that's a pretty big key is exploiting those matchups here. It's like an obvious thing to say. I understand that. But Indiana is not – it's not a very big defense. And they have a corner, D'Angelo Pons, who's like 5'9", actually a high school teammate of Jeremiah's. That's a matchup that Ohio State should be attacking, I think. And he's a really tough corner. Like, he's played against bigger guys all year, and he's played well, but he hasn't seen a guy like Jeremiah yet this year. I guess he saw him in high school, but whatever.
Yeah, if Jeremiah comes out
this
here,
is a different version.
If
right?
JJ comes out here and is seeing purple, Indiana's got problems. Because JJ was mad at the end of last week's game, and I would not be surprised if he takes that out on something today.
Colder today. I don't know if you feel those things more or not. I don't know.
When you're a Floridian,
you're all jacked up on adrenaline.
When you're a Floridian,
perhaps other things.
When we
get
walked
you
into
not feeling pain. So
when we walked into the stadium, we were like, "Oh, it's kind of windy." In here, doesn't feel it yet.
I think you just spoken into existence.
I guess we're going to find out.
It's not swirling in here.
I wouldn't be surprised if that picks up later in the day, but. Weather-wise, it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's in the mid-40s, and it's going to stay in the mid-40s. Cloudy, so you don't have to worry about the sun getting in your eyes.
That's true.
Which is nice.
We can't get through the pregame keys without a weather update.
No rain. It's a little...
For the penultimate game in the Horseshoe this year, regular season game.
Humidity's sitting at around 85%, so it is a little...
What's the barometric pressure?
I'm not sure how to measure that, but I guess it's like 32.
What's the barometric pressure?
7.
But no, this is a perfect day for football in Ohio in November. How do you get better than
You can't ask for anything more. Bill, we do have to talk about the offensive line one last time. What's the confidence level that this Carson Hinsman, Austin Sareveld version can get Ohio State where it needs to go?
I'm pretty confident. I'm a little, I guess, less confident in the left guard spot than I am the center spot. I just don't know what to expect from Indiana because they're going to try to go after that, right? Like they're going to probably send some linebackers and safeties through that left guard spot to see whether or not Austin Sareveld can handle it, to see if Carson Hinsman is up to communicating the things that he needs to communicate in this game. It is a little bit of it's always a tough break no matter when it happens, but you're now playing a defense. It does move around a ton. Ryan Day has talked about that a few times this week, so maybe most of that falls to Will Howard to make sure he's seeing the right things and getting everybody lined up, but obviously Carson Hinsman needs to be a part of that as well, and it's just not stuff he's had to do in a game since last year. So I'm envisioning maybe a drive or two where they're trying to get a feel for that. So maybe it's not immediate fireworks for Ohio State, but I fully expect them to be able to settle in by the second quarter.
That's where the defense has to step up. I mean, the defense has no excuses. The defense is fully healthy and ready to go. So Indiana's offense has been good. I think it's the number 2 offense in the country.
Yeah, these are arguably the 2 best offenses in college.
And you just need to step up if you're the defense, knowing that the offense might have a little bit of a slow start to figure out some things up front. So it comes down to the defensive line. I mean, it always comes down to the trenches, but specifically, all the talk about the offensive line all week, to me, this game comes down to does Ohio State's defensive line dominate like they should? And if they do, then this is not a game.
I think if you hit Curtis Rourke, you win, right? That was a story of the Oregon game. It just did not hit Dylan Gabriel.
Didn't touch him.
Yeah.
We'll see if they can do it shortly. Big noon kickoff coming. Ohio State and unbeaten Indiana. If that's the last time I have to call them that, then Ohio State will stay in control of its destiny in the Big Ten championship race. And if I have to say it again in about 6 hours, the conversation on snap judgment is probably going to be weird.
And I'll say I'm sorry for being so confident.
So we'll see what happens, and we'll be right back to break it all down later this afternoon after the Buckeyes and Hoosiers. Enjoy the game. Thanks for joining us for the Pregame Keys on the podcast. That's Bill and Burnham. I'm Austin. See ya.